Hello and welcome everyone to this new episode of MITFL podcast. A lot has happened since our last episode. Football has returned, and the big headline coming this week is that Liverpool have finally won the Premier League title. The fans had to wait a lot of time, I think around 30 years, to get their hands on the trophy. So let's just start with you, Karan. Just how impressive have they been this season?
Yeah, I think Liverpool have been unbelievable right from the word go. They have dominated the league from the beginning. I mean, you look at the entire squad and it's full of world-class superstars. And I think everyone thinks that they absolutely deserve this title. The whole team has been on top right from the word go, and really, this was always coming, and they absolutely deserve the title this year.
Should be Klopp considered now a legend since he has won both the Champions League and now the Premier League?
I mean, he is one of the best managers. So if he has managed to win Premier League and Champions League, and probably is going to win furthermore trophies in his career, I think he deserves to be called a legend as a manager.
It's also impressive because Klopp picked up a Liverpool side which was mid-table in 2015, and he's transformed them into champions not only of England but also of Europe. So he even did this Dortmund. Dortmund also, they picked them up and they won the title twice. And I think yes, Klopp has impressed a lot, and he's going to win more titles with Liverpool, that's for sure. So yeah, Klopp will eventually, he'll be considered in the same levels of the great managers.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp's first ever press conference as Liverpool manager actually laid the foundation for what Liverpool would go on to become. He said, it's time to stop doubting and time to start believing. And I mean, believe is what resonates with this Liverpool team. Last year, they were 3-0 down to Barca. Won 4-0, went on to win the Champions League. Last year, they finished with the highest ever points tally for a second place team. And this year, with no major modification to their starting 11, they are walking the Premier League. So, I mean, the belief is very evident in the team and more importantly, their fans as well.
Now, this might sound a bit scary for the rivals, but is there some area where they can improve even further for the next season or for the forthcoming season?
I think the only major concern for them can be the midfield. I think the forward and defensive line are absolutely brilliant, and they have some of the best players in the world in those positions. But the midfield trio that they have, basically, which is usually Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho, that is the only region where they can maybe improve and get someone with a little bit more quality. And the other thing is obviously the backup striker or maybe someone to play in the front three. We all know that they were interested in Timo Werner, but obviously that did not materialize. But someone to help those three. They obviously got Minamino, but he's still settling in. But more or less the squad is settled, but a few additions will be needed because teams like Man City will definitely recruit heavily, and they'll all be looking to gun down Liverpool next season for sure.
So can we say that this squad is better than the invincible squad of Arsenal in 2004?
I for some reason may not necessarily agree with that because I mean majority of that Arsenal team will go down as some of the greatest ever players to play in the Premier League. I for some reason I mean this is a brilliant team, there's no doubt about it, but the
This team
Arsenal
has
team,
also this team also
yeah,
has some superstars with them like Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Sadio
yeah,
Mane.
they have superstars, agreed, but that Arsenal team was world class and respect to Liverpool for what they've achieved, but I think our Arsenal team may just slightly edge it. I'm not by the biggest of margins.
Okay, now let's go on to talk about Chelsea. They have recruited ZH. I think they signed him in March or February. I don't remember exactly. And now they have actually signed Werner also. So their attack is looking phenomenal. Like they have ZH, Werner, Pulisic, Abraham, Mount, Odoi. So it's looking really good for them for the next season.
Basically, Chelsea are probably one of the best teams to challenge City and Liverpool next season. I think their squad is pretty good, and especially considering the young players in their squad, they have done exceptionally well this season. And given the two players that they've signed before the transfer window has even officially begun, they do look really strong. With Werner's finishing ability, that has been sometimes missing with Abraham and Giroud, sort of not as convincing as you would like. He'll be as he is one of the hottest strikers in Europe right now, he'll be a fantastic addition to the squad. And of course, Ziyech adds a lot of creativity. He's been doing brilliantly for Ajax, and Chelsea's attack is looking really good now. So they could be one of the teams to challenge Liverpool and City next season, definitely.
And also Christian Pulisic also is a great addition to the team this year. And probably if he, like a few days back, again, his performance against Man City was actually phenomenal. And I think he could proceed to be a club legend in future if he carries on performing like this.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Lampard had said midway through the season that one of the biggest problems for Chelsea was their inability to be clinical in front of goal. And I mean, stats do support that they take more shots than Liverpool, and they concede less shots than Liverpool, and Liverpool are walking the league. The problem has been at the back for them, and in the front they have not been able to be as good at finishing as they've been at other departments. So with players like Werner and Ziyech, a lot of finesse is added to this already good and a team which is actually building for the future. You know, they're not signing aging stars; they're signing people who will definitely have a big impact on the team for the next 4 to 5 years to come.
Let's talk about Werner. He's going to join Chelsea in July and not continue to play for Leipzig. He will not play for Leipzig in the Champions League. Do you guys think it is immoral for him? Like, does it leave him with his old club in bad terms?
It was actually quite surprising because, as far as we all knew, I think so, Werner had good relationships with Leipzig. And for him to go ahead and say that he wouldn't play for Leipzig in UCL, especially since it's Leipzig's first UCL campaign and they've reached the quarterfinals, is actually a big announcement. So it might cause some problems with Leipzig's supporters, but then again, it comes on mostly to Werner's decision.
It is my belief that yeah, Werner obviously did have good relations with the entire, not just his coach, the entire Leipzig team and the board as well. But the just a highly surprising thing to me is realistically when we look at the Champions League now, Leipzig has a pretty decent chance, or they have already made it to the quarterfinals. They absolutely destroyed Tottenham Hotspur, and when you realistically look at it, they could possibly make the semi-finals. So it comes across as very surprising to me that he would not consider playing for Leipzig at least till the UCL part of it gets over, because apparently the Prem is still only to restart in September.
Now let's take it easy, guys. We are going to talk about Arsenal. I think Arsenal fans have suffered enough since the break. So before the break, it was going, I think, very well. They were getting good results. They were playing good football. But after the break, they have suffered 2 losses, and thanks to the goalkeeper error, they won their last game. But it's been falling apart for them. Like they are getting injuries, and what's happening? Like, is it the same old Arsenal?
Look, I think everyone knows that Arsenal have been in a tough spot for a while, and Arteta's signing was looked as a good sign because he knew the club, and everyone thought that he could be the right man to rebuild the club because there's been a lot of problems over the seasons, and things were looking up before the break, as you said. But obviously, a combination of bad luck and some of the things that have been consistent with Arsenal for a while now have contributed to yet another bad turn in form. And in fact, things look worse for them than they have for a long time. They're struggling to even make it to the Europa League right now. And obviously, injuries left, right, and center have left them very weak with their squad strength. And some individual mistakes have let them down. Even a loss of form for players like Aubameyang has hurt them. Ozil is just not a part of the side now, even though they miss him clearly. So a lot of issues obviously are part of the squad, and Arsenal have a lot of work to do in the summer and even in the recruitment. Players like David Luiz have really let them down badly, and it's become a bit of a joke. But Arsenal are still a huge club, and they have to work behind the scenes to get themselves back on track.
I mean, to be honest, I think the players have lost their sharpness after the lockdown. Um, Considering the first game against Man City, some of the players got injured really early, and we saw that affected the performance of the team, especially the defense. And if you know that you have a weak defense against a team like Man City, you are bound to get punished. And as a result, they got punished. And further on, they went on to lose against Brighton as well. So, I mean, they're currently having a poor form, but if Arteta manages to rebuild the team, he probably would get better results, and probably the Arsenal fans would become happy a lot, because right now I don't think they are having the greatest of times.
And
Yeah,
when you
like you
think,
also have to question the board decision because apparently they're giving David Luiz, Pablo Mari, and Cedric contracts, and all of them are 30 above. So you have to question where the board is thinking, because they should sign younger players and have a better defense, because that's where they struggled a lot over the past 2 to 3 years.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, if a club wants to move forward, then giving contract extensions to David Luiz doesn't seem to be a promising sign for their fans. Like, it just tells them that they are not, that the board does not care for the results. They're just like, what do you guys make of that? Like, that news sounded to me like very astonishing.
Yeah, especially the timing of the contract. Like
Yeah,
David Luiz, after the game,
It was
that
such a bad performance.
and there were some problems. He said himself that there were some problems with his contract, and maybe that interfered with his performance. And what do Arsenal do? They give him a contract right after that, almost seemingly rewarding him for the performance that he put in against. So there are clearly a lot of issues behind the scenes, and they do need to work out the transfer strategy. Especially, they've been making a lot of errors. There are some players in the squad who are not really contributing. Even players like Lacazette and Ozil, who are supposed to be world-class players, are struggling to make an impact. And who knows if Aubameyang wants to stay beyond the season, and he's their main priority. So they do need to look at the transfer strategy and the work behind the scenes as well.
And before the season, most of the people complimented Arsenal's transfer strategy because they had a really low budget and somehow managed to get some good players, especially Pepe. And we complimented them. And I think probably most of the people said that considering the transfers, Arsenal have come out the best before the season. But right now we are seeing that those transfers are not helping them, and their board is actually struggling right now. And they might need to revamp their structure and probably sign better players. Yeah.
yeah. So there are three Man United fanboys here. Let's talk about United. Yeah, I think Ritvik is also a United fan.
Uh,
So how's
I
the
mean, we got what we wanted: Bruno and Pogba playing together. Yeah, that was a good thing.
how's that looking? Like, how's the
Any
partnership
comments,
looking?
guys?
It was looking really good in the last
Yeah,
one.
I think everyone has been.
Bruno-
Yeah, so I think everyone has been waiting for Pogba and Fernandes to play ever since we saw the way Fernandes played the moment he got into the side. I think he surpassed everyone's expectations, and he became the driving force behind United's midfield and really turned things around. And given how we know how Pogba is and how good he can be on his day. So I think everyone, not just Manchester United fans, but the whole world has been waiting to see if these two can complement each other and turn Manchester United's midfield into one of the best. And the early signs have definitely been promising. There's a long way to go, obviously, but they've linked up well so far, and they add a lot of creativity. And with the pace of Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood, they'll be getting a lot of opportunities. And if they can be clinical, then maybe this is a good sign for the future for Manchester United.
I mean, what are the thoughts about that? Ole didn't start him against Tottenham, start Pogba against Tottenham, and once Pogba came on, the game changed completely. Man United were actually doing some quick passing, and Bruno and Pogba were actually linking perfectly. So, was that a poor decision, or was it a right decision to bench Pogba because he was not playing before the lockdown as well?
Yeah, I think
I,
it makes sense because especially at the beginning, the midfield of Fernandes, Fred, and Matic/McTominay was doing pretty well. So I think he wanted to give that midfield another chance. And Pogba, as you said, was not fit enough to start. So I think it was a smart decision to ease him back because they obviously did not want him to get injured. And he made his impact off the bench. And hopefully we'll get to see more of Pogba and Fernandes as time goes on.
Do you see any weak links among United right now? I mean,
who me?
considering next season.
Yeah, I think personally, I think you guys need a right winger because I think Jadon Sancho would be a perfect fit for you guys. I like for the last 4 to 5 years, that's what you don't have a correct managers have tried to play Rashford, Martial, but none of them are good enough to play there. So I think that would be a very good area to. Okay, now unlike the Premier League, there is actually title race going on in Spain. So at the moment, both Real Madrid and Barcelona are at the same level. Both are at 68 points. So Vikrams, what's the situation like in Spain?
It's really tight at the top. I mean, 68, and what differentiates them is the better head-to-head record of Real Madrid against Barca, and both are actually quite polar opposites. And Barca have scored more goals, but Real have had a pretty watertight defense this season, only conceding 21 goals in 31 games. But the way things are, I think Barca are heavily reliant on Messi. I think they have scored 70 goals this year. Messi has a direct contribution in 35, 21 goals, 14 assists. And that is just playing 26 games out of those 31. Uh, so Barca, whenever Messi has a bad game, and Messi has actually not been in good form since the lockdown has resumed. I know that scorelines flatter to deceive. They beat Mallorca 4-0, Leganes 2-0 and all that. But if you actually watch the game, Messi has not been in great form, and this is the time of the season where you need your teammates to perform. And I don't think Lionel Messi is getting that support, especially from the likes of Griezmann. The entire midfield is not creating. I think it's really down to Messi and a teenage Ansuman Fati to pull something out of the bag. Whereas Real, I think, for the first time in a long time, are actually a proper unit from 1 to 11. Courtois has recovered from his disastrous season last year, and even Benzema before the lockdown was actually in a bit of a gold rot, but since play has resumed, he has been really clinical in front of goal. He really helps the build up, and the chemistry between him and Hazard and him and Vinicius is actually very visible. They link up very well. So Benzema's game has also taken to the next level along with the entire midfield. Even players like Modric who aren't any longer guaranteed a starting spot. They are also chipping in and doing their bit. So I think as a unit, I think Real are more deserving of the title, and Barca have a few tough fixtures coming up in the next few weeks. So I think next 2-3 games could possibly decide the fate of the title.
Also, if you see Griezmann in Atletico Madrid and now in Barcelona, we don't see the same impact that he used to have. So I don't know what's the reason, because some people are saying that his natural position is as a center forward and he doesn't like to play on the wings, and that's the reason he is not performing good. We Even though like he plays on the wing, we still don't see the same Griezmann that we used to see in Atletico Madrid. So is there a reason behind that? Proper reason?
No, I think the main reason is still the same, that he's a center forward who's being forced to play on the left wing. And I do feel bad for him because he was the big money signing of Barcelona. People tend to forget that he was signed for more than 100 million this summer. And it's just it didn't the buy at that time didn't make sense to me unless Barca planned on phasing out Luis Suarez of the team. But that wasn't the case. In fact, Luis Suarez was starting regularly until he had the long-term injury in December or January. He was starting a lot of the games. So I think Griezmann is really suffering from the availability of players that Barca have in attack, and now they have Luis Suarez and Martin Braithwaite as well. And in Settien's system, Martin Braithwaite is adapting better to it than Antoine Griezmann has.
That's really.
So I think he's really a victim.
And one thing that for the last 2 3 years that I think that has not worked for Barcelona is that they don't seem to have any clear strategy of signing the transfer players. Like, for in my wildest dreams I couldn't imagine that Arturo Vidal would someday play for Barcelona. Like his style of play doesn't at all suit with Barca. So that's
Similarly, right now, Barca are looking to sign Miralem Pjanic from Juventus as a swap deal for Arthur. I mean, it's also like Juventus playing style is not similar to Barcelona, and even the Pjanic is not playing well as in Juventus. But I don't think he would like Griezmann. I don't think he would be also able to fit in Barcelona.
it's actually very curious to see like what if Messi wasn't there? Where would Barcelona lie actually? I don't think.
I think they would be a mid-table team, to be honest, if Messi wasn't there for them. That's the thing.
So Vikram, can you give your predictions for the La Liga, or is it too unpredictable?
It is unpredictable, but I think there is too much of a burden on Messi's shoulders, and we have to take into account that the only creative midfielder Barca have right now is Frenkie de Jong, and he's out for another month. So I have a feeling at some point the burden will become too much for Messi. Like they didn't have a good performance at Sevilla where they drew, and that was Messi having one of his off days. And I have a feeling that at one point the burden will become too much for him. So I do think Real as an entire unit, not just the 11 on the pitch, the 4-5 substitutes which also come on, are more cohesive. They perform much better. So I do have a feeling that Real will take the title this time.
Okay. Now let's move on to Europe. The Champions League, after being suspended, will now resume. The remaining round of 16 fixtures will take place on 7th August, and then the competition will have a sort of mini tournament where each team will play against in only one leg, unlike the traditional two legs. So, guys, what are your predictions? Who's gonna win it?
Personally, I think Bayern Munich could be one of the teams to look out for. I think their form since the lockdown break has been great, and they've dominated the league, obviously, as usual, but they're looking better than ever. Their score strength is amazing, and Lewandowski is doing what he does best, just banging in goals left, right, and center. And obviously, this reduced format will make things interesting, and I think Bayern Munich, with their overall squad strength again, they found players like Alphonso Davies and even players like Kimmich, Alaba, everyone seems to be on form. And if Gnabry and Koeman can contribute to Lewandowski's goals, then I think Bayern Munich have the most balanced squad and possibly the best chance of winning the Champions League after a long time now.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because even if the competition wasn't reduced, it would have still been two legs. I would have still gone for Bayern Munich. Under Hansi Flick, the team has become really good. The likes of Lewandowski, Davies, even Thomas Muller at the age of 30 is now about to break De Bruyne's assist record in Bundesliga. That speaks a lot about how good Bayern Munich have become this season. So, like, you can't, even if it's one leg, I still see Bayern winning the title.
I mean, I was conflicted between Bayern Munich and Manchester City. But since Karan already said Bayern Munich, I would say Manchester City because even though they lost recently against Chelsea, I still believe that they have a perfect squad. As I said before in the last podcast as well, they have a good squad, and obviously they have a great match winner as well, Kevin De Bruyne. And only thing right now that could bother them is their striker. I mean, recently they had to play Raheem Sterling at strike, which backfired against Chelsea. So only thing they could bother about is that. But I still believe that they have a good chance, better than the other teams. So yeah, I believe that Champions League could be Man City's this time.
For me, this could be really controversial, but I think Juventus is actually in with a chance. And I know, but yeah, but Juventus since the break have actually been a much sharper team than they had been up till that point. And the thing about Serie A is that it just wraps up 1 week prior to the UCL. So, in the case of Bayern Munich, the league
Yeah.
finishes almost 1 month prior to when the UCL resumes, and Premier League is 2 to 3 weeks before. Serie A finishes just 1 week before the UCL starts again. So, I don't think intensity would be a very big issue. And the way guys like Ronaldo and Dybala are now playing, they can cause on their day, especially given that it's one leg, they can cause menace to any team. And Saria actually finally seems to be getting the midfield three as correct as possible. Like against Lecce, he started a midfield three of Ramsey, Rabiot, and Bentancur, and that, in my opinion, is the best midfield. So if he gets the team selection correct, and with guys like Ronaldo and Dybala, I think Juventus can actually pose a serious threat, given that now it's only one leg.
The problem for Juventus recently is that they don't have a like Man City, they don't have a proper striker right now. I mean, Higuain is, I mean, we have all seen him, like he's not in perfect shape right now.
Yeah, I think City also have a reason to do with this because the ban appeal going on in the courts of arbitration court right now. So, and also Guardiola has not had much success in Champions League with City. He would want to, since Liverpool won the title, he would want to do something in the UCL this season.
Yeah, I think the point Vikram raised about intensity is very good, and that is one of the things that will hurt the team that I backed before, PSG, because their league was suspended completely, and that will hurt the chances a lot. Otherwise, I think again Neymar and Mbappe together can destroy any defense, and with Neymar being fit, this looked like it could be PSG's year finally. But again, with the league being suspended, it will be a major blow to their chances because they'll be coming off only training and maybe a few practice matches, and they'll have to face some of the best teams in the world directly. But otherwise, PSG had a good chance with their squad, and again that front three with Icardi also in great form before the lockdown break, and Neymar and Mbappe playing really well together. But that intensity factor could be a major factor in who wins the Champions League actually.
Yeah, so Champions League is still 1 month away, so we'll have a chance to talk about it for lot much more time. So thank you guys.
What's your prediction?
Your prediction?
Your prediction, Arunim.
My prediction is, like, I'm a Bayern fan, so I hope Bayern win. But as Vikram said, like in 1 month gap, what their intensity might lose, and the whether they can regain the same form in such a short span of time, you can't predict it. So obviously they will try to play a few friendlies, but and they have one match against Chelsea also. So hopefully I hopefully they win. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us and sharing your views, and thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more updates on our channel, and like, comment, share, follow us on Instagram, and stay tuned. Thank you guys.